This week's Naples, Florida real estate market is about one simple question. Are buyers backing away or are they just being more selective? Because when you look at the numbers, the answer is pretty clear. Buyers are still active, but sellers are still having to adjust. This week's median sales price is $590,000. And over the past 7 days, Naples has had 187 new listings, 144 sold listings, and 1 pending listings. There were also 68 terminated listings, 56 expired listings, 24 homes back on the market, 51 extended listings, 13 price increases, 168 price decreases, and 36 withdrawn listings. So we had 181 pending listings, which is almost the same as the 187 new listings that came on the market. And that tells you and me that buyers are still writing contracts. But the other number that stands out is 168 price decreases. That tells us buyers are not accepting every price. They're active, but they're selective. And that is the main story this week. The market is moving, but it is not rewarding overpriced listings. And this is why you cannot just look at one number and understand the Naples real estate. If you only look at pending sales, you may think that the market is strong. But if you only look at price reductions, you may think that the market is weak. And when you look at both together, you see the real picture. Good homes are still getting attention. Pricing mistakes are still getting exposed, and that matters to both buyers and sellers. For buyers, price reductions can create opportunities, but a price cut does not automatically mean a home is a good deal. For sellers, the message is just as important. The buyers are still there, but they are watching the data and they're comparing your home against all the other listings. So if the home is not priced correctly, buyers may not negotiate with you the right way. They may simply just wait. So now let's take a look at 3 homes that sold close to the median sales price. The first example is in Westlake. This home was listed at $625,000 and it sold for $580,000. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, single-family home with 1,445 square feet. It sold for about $401 per square foot. There were no HOA fees, and the tax bill was $4,769. Now, this is an important sale because Westlake is a very interesting pocket. You're close to Seagate Beach, waterside shops, the artist in Naples, shopping, dining, and central Naples amenities. So, even though this home sold below the median sales price, the buyer was not just buying square footage. They were buying location, no homeowners association, and a central Naples lifestyle at a much lower price point than the nearby coastal luxury neighborhoods. But it still sold below the median sales price. And that tells us buyers are still negotiating, even when the location has a strong story. The second example is an Orange Blossom Ranch. This home was listed for $599,900 and it sold for $585,000. It had 3 bedrooms plus a den, 3 bathrooms, and a total of 2,201 square feet. It sold for about $266 per square foot. It had a private pool and spa and was built in 2021 and is located in a gated community with a strong amenity package. The total annual recurring fees were $3,152 and the tax bill was $6,071. This is a completely different story. The buyer was not buying a central Naples or beach proximity. The buyer is buying a newer home, more square footage, a pool, gated amenities, and a growing area of Naples. And that is why the same median price range can mean very different things depending on the location and the lifestyle. The third example is in Isles of Collier Preserve. This attached villa was listed for $599,000 and it sold for $590,000. It had 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and 1,204 square foot. It was built in 2024 and it sold for about $490 per square foot. The annual reoccurring fees were $8,000 and the tax bill was $1,283. So this sale matters because Isles of Collier Preserve offers a lifestyle that is very different from both Westlake and Orange Blossom Ranch. You have a gated community, trails, resort style amenities, pickleball, tennis, fitness, and access to the Naples lifestyle with downtown and beaches within a reasonable drive. Around the same price range, these three homes tell three different stories. Westlake gives you location and no HOA. Orange Blossom Ranch gives you a newer gated pool home with amenities. And Isles of Collier Preserve gives you a newer villa in a lifestyle community with higher annual fees. None of those choices are automatically better. They're just three examples of the different types of homes that you can get below the median sales price here in Naples, Florida. So now let's take a look at the luxury sale of the week. The most expensive home that sold this week was in Park Shore at the Enclave. It was listed for $9,935,000 and it sold for $8,600,000. Now, this was a 4-bedroom plus a den, 5-bathroom high-rise residence with 6,800 square feet, which is larger than many homes. It sold for $1,265 per square foot. The property has Gulf frontage. It has a private beach access, a gated community, concierge style amenities, and only 28 residences in the entire building. The annual fees were $93,000 and the tax bill was $46,000. So that sale is important because Park Shore is one of the best examples of how Naples luxury works. There are only so many Gulf front properties and low density luxury buildings. And there are so many homes that combine beach access, Gulf views, security, amenities, and central Naples location. But even here, the property sold below the list price. The lesson is that even luxury buyers are negotiating when the numbers support it. That is the theme this week. Demand is still here and lifestyle and scarcity still matters right here in Naples, Florida. But price has to make some sense for buyers. And this is the strategy to use. Compare it to recent closed sales in Naples. Look at the days on the market and look at the total ownership cost. For sellers in Naples, Florida, this week's message is simple. There is buyer activity. With 181 pending listings, buyers are still making decisions, which is great for sellers. But there are also 168 price decreases, and that means sellers need pricing discipline. If your home is in a strong location and excellent condition, that does help. If you have beach access, boating, golf, gated amenities, or low fees, that helps. But none of those things give you unlimited pricing power. I wish that was the case, but it's not. Today's buyers are comparing everything. The Naples market is selective. We had 187 new listings, 144 sold listings, and 181 pending listings. That is real activity. But with 108 price decreases, the market is telling sellers that pricing still matters. For buyers, this can create opportunity if you know how to read the numbers in Naples, Florida. For sellers, this can create risk if you ignore the numbers. The homes that line up on location, condition, lifestyle, and price are still moving. The homes that miss the mark are the ones being forced to adjust. I'm Chris Alley, Naples, Florida Realtor since the year 2000, certified luxury home specialist and pricing strategy advisor. If you want to stay current on the Naples, Florida real estate market, subscribe to this channel for my weekly market updates. And remember, people like you call and reach out to me each and every day. I'll see you in the next Naples, Florida market update, and stick around for this next video. I know you're going to love it.